Hello, and welcome back to Move the Line Prop Drop Show. I'm Ryan Noonan, back to talk about the best way, the most profitable way to bet on NFL football, and that is through player props. We typically live 2 p.m. Eastern every Friday. We are kicked back a little bit here on this Friday because we needed to get out of the way of this riveting 0-0 England-U.S. tie that just finished. So if you somehow have not depleted all of your dopamine and adrenaline, and you still have some back for this show, we appreciate you hanging out with us. So if you are on YouTube, subscribe so you do not miss a show. Lots of other great content here on the 4for4 YouTube page. Smash that like button, goes a long way in helping us. And jump in the chat. Let us know what your favorite prop is for week 12. Busy prop day, everything kind of getting dumped with obviously the books focusing a lot on the Thursday Thanksgiving slate. Now stuff is slowly rolling out for this weekend. Joining me here as always, who would love to talk about this soccer game, Connor Allen.
What's up? Yeah, I know it was 0-0. I know everyone's like really mad about it, and I get it because there's no goals, obviously, and the point of the game is to win and score goals. But I thought that it was a really great result for the U.S., who, were plus 600 to win this game. So getting a tie is fantastic. That's actually good. And also, they had a couple of chances that they blew. And as Pat mentioned prior to the show, we're getting rinsed pretty thoroughly there for the first 15, 20 minutes. And I thought they were going to be losing like 3-0 and came back and did good work. I thought it was the most impressive I've seen U.S. soccer in a while. So I thought it was good. Even though it was a 0-0 tie, I get it. It was pretty boring.
Yeah, you have to remember too that from the England perspective, and I felt like they didn't talk about this at all during the broadcast because maybe they didn't know or they're not paying attention, but a 0-0 tie.
2-0 against Wales. So yeah, England's in a good spot. US is in a good spot. And the way they do the brackets, they won't play each other, but encouraging for both sides, I'd say.
Yeah, like just the draw gets them through. So now it's just whoever wins between Iran and the US. I wouldn't overlook Iran, by the way.
No, I think everyone is actually, I think in US overlooking them. They're actually good. Like they had a really bad result against England, but they have some good players. So
what's that going to open at? Are US going to be favorites there, you think? Or what?
Yeah, they'll be favored. I mean, just like narrow though, not by a ton. I mean, it'll probably be, I would guess in a three-way market, it'll be plus money on each side. So, but I think that you should probably bet the plus money. That'll be my bet because, just got to ride with America. I have zero analysis, just riding with America. So
I was talking to my friends at Bet Online today, the guy that runs the book, and they said that today's U.S. soccer game was the third most liability they've ever had on any game ever. Wow. And everyone bet on the U.S. money line.
Wow.
Americans are bad at betting on soccer, as it turns out.
I mean, we know nothing. Like even like I stay like somewhat in touch and I know very little, and like I don't know. I thought about it and I was like, oh, I think England's the right side here, probably, but I'm going to bet on the US anyways because I don't want to root against them. So,
yeah. And Americans know the one thing they know about soccer is they like America. So they'll bet on them. It's funny. The three biggest ones, pieces of liability that they held, because I don't know if they're technically an offshore, but I don't think they're like legal in the United States.
No,
so their biggest liability ever was Trump 2020 to win. That lost. Conor McGregor to beat Floyd Mayweather. That lost. And now USA Soccer against England. That lost.
All right.
Wow.
Yeah, I can see that, patriotism coming up in the moments like this, especially against England. Like, you don't want to be holding that England ticket, like at the end, like pulling for England. So I get in a once every 4 year type of event for America, once every 8 years, right? Because we didn't make it like the last iteration of this tournament. So I get it.
I mean, there's
I was rooting for England, so that's me.
Yeah. What about Canada? You bet on Canada at all? They looked good. They actually looked really good. I'm not gonna lie. I thought they were solid. Did you watch it or no?
I watched the entire game. I'm not betting on Canada. Are you kidding me? It's the first time they've been in the World Cup since I was less than a year old.
I told Pat it sounded like from their analysis that a 1-0 loss to one of the best teams was a small win, but he told me it was a loser mentality. He's probably right, but I don't know. Maybe they just Canadians are smarter than us and maybe less blindly patriotic, and that's probably sharp as far as betting goes.
We're all rooting for them to win, but this is like a classic Canada thing. When my first job, at a broadcasting school. I was writing as an intern at Sportsnet magazine, which was like a national publication, and the Olympics were coming around. Canadians love the Olympics, and I think it was the Summer Olympics, which Canada is terrible at.
Yeah.
And I wrote this entire piece. It was like 5,000 word opinion essay about how Canadians have loser mentalities and we need to stop celebrating people's personal bests. We should celebrate winners. And they got very upset.
Yeah, how'd that go?
They did not like that. I was like, we need to be more like the U.S. You think the U.S. cares about someone who comes like second in the 4x100? No, they want winners. They want people who want to win. They're like Dennis Smith.
It's true.
Yeah, I can't get behind a small loss as a win because, I mean, yeah, maybe in like the grand scheme of like a 20 years building a program, but like not the World Cup. Like you got to at least draw. You got to get something out of it.
Yeah.
You'll always have Ben Johnson. Is he? Do you still celebrate the Ben Johnson win?
No, that was taken away from him. We celebrate Donovan Bailey. He won
Okay.
the Atlanta Gold and broke the 100-meter record.
Yeah, so that's good. Yeah, small wins for Canada. I like it. Shift the mentality, especially in the summer games, Pat. I mean, you guys don't show up for that. I didn't even know you guys went.
Oh yeah, I mean, well, you just mentioned two sprinters who broke the 100-meter dash record, who were both Canadian.
Just giving you shit.
When was the last time the U.S. did that? By the way, won the 100-meter.
No idea.
I think it went to Carl Lewis who was also on steroids, by the way.
Absolutely.
After they took away Ben Johnson's gold medal.
Yes. Yeah.
So 88. Congratulations.
Yeah. Hey, is that Barcelona? No, that was Barcelona was 92. No, whatever. No one tuned in
for the props to drop.
No one tuned in to listen to us talk about soccer or Olympic past Olympics. So we'll jump into it here. Obviously joining us as well, the man from the Mayo Media Network. Subscribe to all of Pat's stuff on YouTube, the Pat Mayo Experience in podcast form. It is Pat Mayo. All right, we're going to jump in. Reminder, 2 episodes of Move the Line each week. We've moved the game preview show to Wednesdays. That is 7:30 Eastern on Wednesday nights. More sides and totals. We save the props, the good stuff here for the Friday prop show. I want to let folks know we are running a Black Friday sale on the site, 4for4.com/plans. Betting subscription gets you access to literally everything on the sites. Every sport, every article, tool from now until the end of February. I think the subscriber-only Discord where all of Connor and I's props are pushed through initially. It's really the crown jewel of that. $34 from now until the end of February through this weekend, Black Friday weekend, NBA, college basketball, MMA. We do have someone capping soccer in there for you. If you dabble in any of the pick'em sites, Prize Picks, Underdog, Vivid, we have channels designated for that as well. If you're playing DFS, TJ Hernandez, John Daigle, providing a ton of DFS content too. Still grinding season long. We have all that for you too as well. 4for4.com/plans. You don't even need a promo code. It's already set there for you. $34 through the end of February. Well, let's get started for week 12 props. Live lines, doing our best to give you everything that's available right now. Connor, get us started. Week 12.
Yeah, this has been tough with just the Thanksgiving and then the openers coming in here. So they've been bouncing around a bit, but I think that we've got some accurate ones here. My first one, Aaron Rodgers, under 228.5 passing yards. I bet this against the Eagles every week, the quarterback under, and it is perfect right now. It's 10-0, and the Eagles held every quarterback under their passing prop. 9 of 10 quarterbacks under this specific number of 228.5. So if we're looking at this matchup too, I think that the Packers probably try and run against the Eagles, who are great in pass defense, 3rd in pass DVOA, 5th in explosive pass rate allowed. And meanwhile, really have struggled a little bit since losing Jordan Davis, but did play well with Linval Joseph and Ndamukong Suh kind of sliding the lineup. But I don't think that's really going to stop the Packers. I went back and looked at the Titans, who are extremely good run defense and middling pass defense. They came out in the first quarter, ran the ball 7 times, threw the ball 7 times. So like they were still essentially skewing run heavy in terms of the league, and pretty much 50-50 there. So I think that they try and skew run heavy, and then when they do throw the ball, they have trouble doing so. So I'm seeing 228.5 on Bet Rivers, Barstool, like Canby Shops. I'm seeing like 221, 222 at other places. I think that's probably fine still, but obviously if you can get 228.5, I like that a lot better. This
is why getting in the chat makes a lot of sense, because you would have got, what did you push this at?
232. 232. So
that matters too. And I think the handicap makes a ton of sense. Pat, any leans on Aaron Rodgers?
Yeah, I like. Oh boy, I like that as well. Packers under everything. Like the Packers are terrible. I love the Eagles in this game too, so maybe I'm swayed by that.
Yeah, and then just the play volume too for the the Packers is always a little low for some reason. Like regardless of game script, they tend to bleed the clock down too. So play volume is on your side, and yeah, I like that cap quite a bit. How about you, Pat? How about number one for you?
I mean, there's a couple ways I can attack this, but I'm going to go with Antonio Gibson over 2.5 receptions. He's only been under this number once, I believe, since week 3 so far this year, and now his role has started to grow again. I think his rushing attempts prop is 12.5. I like the over of that. I like both of his yardage props. I like him to score in this game against the. I may have to play like a 5-way Antonio Gibson same game parlay this week. It's just a fantastic spot for him against a really brutal run defense. And listen, like I get that they've been winning. I actually like Atlanta in the game in terms of the 4.5 or 4, and even potentially outright. But I think it's going to be close, which is going to lead to a lot of running. And we've seen Heineke, ball out by his standards, but he does throw 4 throws a game that should be intercepted. And I think that Ron Rivera knows that. I think Washington knows that. And they're just going to lean on the run as much as possible. And they don't throw to Brian Robinson. They only throw to Antonio Gibson. So 2.5 seems like a very low bar here. So I will go over the 2.5 receptions.
Before we jump into that, can you just expand a little bit on the actual matchup in your handicap there, liking the Falcons? Because I'd love to hear a little bit more there. Because I think it's a really bad matchup for them. I mean, it's gross. I don't have any conviction on the Commanders, but I would lean Commanders in that one. But I would love to get your thoughts.
Well, you're buying Washington at the highest point of the season, for one thing, in the markets. Atlanta has, the same record or a better record than Washington? Atlanta exclusively plays close games against this style of competition. And you also have that Heineke factor. So Heineke has gotten away. I think his expected interceptions based on the passes that he's thrown the past 3 weeks is something like 2.7 per game. And I think he has one over that time. And Atlanta all year long, I don't quite know how they're doing it. It's smoke and mirrors because they get no pass rush and their defense is pretty terrible. They just come up with these gigantic defensive plays, whether it was that sack against Geno Smith against Seattle, the pick 6, both against Carolina and the Rams earlier this season. They just make big plays. We've just seen it too many times, and they're just going to find a way. And the biggest thing that people look at is oh my God, Chase Young's probably going to be back. Washington's run defense is unstoppable. But I kind of say it every week. Atlanta isn't a typical team that you can slow down with the run. They have a 4-headed rushing attack. They'll run wishbone. They'll have QB double reverse RPOs and just the craziest stuff you've ever seen. So they shrink the game down for one thing, for the point spread, and you can't really game plan for their rushing attack. It's just so unique versus every other team. And we've seen them put up really good numbers on the ground against what we've seen to be really good rush defenses so far this year. They kind of beat the crap out of New Orleans on the ground. They beat the crap out of San Francisco on the ground. They did it to Carolina as well. I mean, I know Carolina beat them the second time around, but they were still able to run the ball. And now that Cordero's back, it just gives them that big explosive play threat as well. I just think that, not that Washington is complete smoke and mirrors. I do think that their defense is good. Now they're definitely going to be able to get to the passer, but Atlanta plays such a unique style that they're almost tailor-made unless they're playing an amazing offense to keep games close.
It's hard to get to the passer when the passer doesn't pass. It's all, bootlegs and play action stuff. So yeah. All right. I like it. My first one is Mark Andrews. I'm going back to here, over 63.5 receiving yards for Andrews. This is on FanDuel. Also out there pretty much across the board at 64.5. The Jags have struggled pass defense this year, 31st in pass DVOA, also 31st against tight ends on the season. I think Andrews coming off the bye last week, a little bit more to the usual role, caught 6 of 8 passes, almost right on this number last week, 63 yards against Carolina, who's been really good at covering tight ends this season, especially when Jeremy Chin's in the lineup. So I just like that the playing time, 97% route participation last week. He's definitely, he's the primary option. I mean, they have really nothing else there. Everyone else kind of pops up, gets hurt. Isaiah Likely's playing more, but it's just these guys are both tight ends, but they're not your traditional tight ends. Andrews is more of just a prolific slot receiver with tight end eligibility. So playing time right back to where he was before. I like it quite a bit. So our projections are a little light on this. I think yours probably are too, Pat, but I don't know. I'm maybe going back just thinking that he's healthy. Rough outings leading into it with the injury is probably impacting a little bit of what a median projection would say, but I would love to get your thoughts on Andrews.
A median projection has him at 58 yards, but I do like him a lot this week. I'm actually really bullish on the Ravens offense in general. It seems like everyone all week has appeared on the injury report. Demarcus Robinson, Devin Duvernay, Mark Andrews was actually off. Gus Edwards and Lamar Jackson are all going to be active for this game. So that's a big boon for that offense. You would have to think. I think Jacksonville's going to be able to move the ball relatively well against them. Whether they can score or not, who knows? It's been Jacksonville's problem all year long. But yeah, it seems like an incredibly low total for a guy who gets this almost every. What did he end up with last week? I didn't see what the final numbers were.
Right at 63.
He ended right at 63, and he did nothing in that game and had 63 yards.
Right. Yeah, and Chin's legit. I mean, Chin played every snap. He's back healthy for them. Like, he was lined up, almost just kind of chasing him around. Jacksonville doesn't have that kind of dude. Connor, you're riding with me here, right?
Yeah, no, I'm into it. Love it. Great matchup. Just like, I feel like, especially too, a lot of the numbers we're getting were, higher than this. And that was with Rashad Bateman in the lineup, like early in the season. Like we're getting like, nearly 70 over under receiving yards for Andrews with Bateman. Now his competition is like Demarcus Robinson and, Duvernay. We're fine. But I would say that it's like step down in target competition and a great matchup. So
sweet. Back to you, buddy. Number 2.
Yeah, I'm going to go with, it looks like the best number on this, Keenan Allen over 70 receiving yards. I'm fine with this at this point. I just like, our projections are not caught up, but Mike Williams now announced out, playing against the Cardinals this week, who have gotten just generally shredded by the slot receivers, had 94 yards and 8 targets last week. Well, and that was only on 68% of the snaps. I anticipate he'll probably end up in that like 80% range as he becomes healthier. So, I mean, great matchup. I feel like he's going to be, the top target there by a lot. I would have loved to wait for receptions. I feel like maybe 5.5, 6.5 would have been great. Probably not going to get a 5.5. So, I mean, I thought that we played at 63. I think we're seeing some 70s pop now. I'm more than fine with 70. I think it'll close at like 75. I told you that this morning.
I have Keenan Allen's median projection at 91 yards this week.
Oh boy. Okay.
He looked good last week too. Like even downfield, and some like that late catch was obviously not a prototypical Keenan Allen catch too, which I think is encouraging to see that when he needs to let it go a little bit too, like he has it in him in the hammy that he could have, turned it up instead of just those like low A-dot, turn in the zone and catch stuff. So yeah, it was encouraging. I'm tailing this with Connor too. So I like it. Like to hear that Pat's at in the 90s. So yeah, I agree with when Connor, put this up, we talked about it too. And yeah, definitely think we're closing in the 70s, even if Mike Williams played. So now that he's out, Yahtzee. So, all right, Pat, back to you.
All right, so my number 2 is going to be in the San Francisco and New Orleans games. Another game where I like the points, and I like New Orleans to probably backdoor this a little bit, but I'm going to stick to the ground. San Francisco has been one of the premier rush defenses in the league, and this number just seems so low. And I believe I'm going against my projections on this because, sometimes I know better than the numbers, which is... that never really happens, but I have him over this by a yard. So if the median projection is telling me this, that screams under to me. Alvin Kamara under 49.5 rushing yards. They get down by 14. Are they going to run? No, that's not going to happen. So the you can probably go receiving over for him if you want it. I feel more confident in the rushing under. The issue is like Kamara, we know can do this all in one run, because we've seen that happen before. We haven't seen it happen this year. It feels like he's lost that at least one explosive step. Is about the worst matchup that he can have. We know everyone's just still kind of banged up, even on the offensive line for the Saints. So it's not, listen, unders hit more often than they do overs. And like every week that I come up with my own, it's like, oh, I like that over and I like that over. It's like, what unders do I actually like? This is an under I can get behind.
I like it. I'm going to stay in the same game too. And then Connor, get your thoughts on both of these. And I think they correlate pretty well. I'm going to go under on Jimmy Garoppolo's passing attempts in this one. I posted it at 31.5 this morning. I think we're still at 30 out there, 30.5 out there. It's like minus 105, minus 102. Actually, PointsBet still has a 31.5. I think Garoppolo's actually going to be pretty good in this game. He actually shows some pretty significant man versus zone splits. And I think it makes a ton of sense when you think about Kyle Shanahan's ability to scheme receivers open. And I actually think that efficiency is going to lead to quicker scores. It's going to put them in a lead in an advantageous game script even faster than normal. And then we see a lot of running plays from San Francisco in the second half. They're very comfortable to do that. Well, now they're a two-headed monster. We saw that last week. Garoppolo has only exceeded 30 twice this season. Those are both double-digit losses for the Niners, attempting to come from behind in Atlanta and against Kansas City. So still anywhere at 30.5 or below. I like the under here. I think he's pretty efficient. I think 21, 22 completions on maybe 28 attempts, I think is the right look for Garoppolo. So, Connor, what are your thoughts on these unders in the San Fran Saints game?
No, I didn't think about the Kamara one is a great look too, especially with how he's been doing.
I like it.
I feel like, recently, recently he's at 42, 26, 30. In 3 games. And a lot of it has to do with like, if they're losing, he ends up in like the single digit carry range. And then if they're winning, he ends up in like the low teens. And I think even if he ends up in the low teens, I think that's still pretty comfortable there. And then for Noonan's, I don't know why, for some reason, like when I handicapped this game, I kind of thought that they would, like last week, maybe go a little bit pass heavier to start rather than just like running it immediately. And so that kind of worried me a little bit, but I think you're right from a numbers perspective that even if they do go pass heavy, they should have enough success right away. And I mean, relative to pass heavy, not like Josh Allen and the Bills pass heavy, like what we see last week where they're not just running Elijah Mitchell and Christian McCaffrey immediately up the gut there. So I think that it's a good look though. Still at under 30.5 is probably the right lean.
It feels like one of those ones that we're going to like early on, we're going to be like, oh crap, Jimmy G's throwing it all over the yard.
Right.
And then later we're just going to have to hold on for, hopefully that game plan to play itself out that way. So yeah, I mean, unders are never an easy ride, but they're never dead until they're dead. Right. So that's definitely, the mentality that, you've had a lot of times where, hey, it looks like we're trending poorly, but like you got to play the whole thing out.
That happened on Thanksgiving. It was DJ Chark, 3 targets and 15 yards in the first drive or second drive. And the subs are all adding me like, oh, we're dead. We're dead. And I'm like, an under's not dead till it's dead. And he did not get he caught one more pass the entire game for 1 yard. It was the over under was like 35. So, I mean, I think we definitely got a little lucky there, but hey, an under's not dead till it's dead. Right.
Yeah. Pat, do you have any thoughts on Jimmy G?
I do. And my next one actually correlates with Jimmy G. So, I'll save it, I suppose.
Okay, cool. Reminder, if you're hanging in the chat, jump in. Let us know any looks that you have for week 12. You want to get our thoughts on anything. We'll do our best. I know a lot of stuff is popping here even as we're going live. So, Connor, number 3.
Yeah, my third one is something that I've not released officially yet, but I do really like and will be releasing officially is Miles Sanders over. And something we talked about kind of correlates a little bit with Rodgers. You're able to find this at 66 rushing yards. And I think the big deal here is that I think the Eagles kind of go back to their basics here and they skew run heavy against the Green Bay team that has been okay against the pass, but has been 29th in run DVOA, really struggled, against opposing running games here. And if we look at when Miles Sanders has struggled, it's been against Washington twice. He has 54 and 46 rushing yards, who is a top 5 run defense by, most metrics. And to Pat's point, I mean, the Eagles bring some level of versatility, but certainly not exactly what Atlanta runs there offensively. And then against Indianapolis, only 13 for 47, but some of his best outings, Detroit, 96 yards, Minnesota, 80 yards, Jacksonville, 134. And he's been pretty consistently over this number in average to plus matchups. Now you're getting a massive plus matchup here as 7-point favorites. I think we're going to get like 15 carries for, 80 plus yards here. We have him at 84 rushing yards. So I feel pretty good about that one. Not something I've released yet. I was hoping to get maybe a little bit of a lower number, but I think 66 is great.
Yeah, I like it. I know we just died short of the carries last week where we had that late Boston Scott, like 3 straight carries inside the 20, which is a painful way to bleed out there. But I think still a good handicap. And I like your thoughts here on this one too. Pat, I'll kick it to you for any thoughts, and then you can talk to me about the next one for you.
I stay away from any Sanders over at all times because they are not afraid to just give it to someone else. That's not Miles Sanders. So eventually he has to be like efficient and get there himself. I know he's been doing it pretty well. Just he's not a player that I like to target. I find him too up and down. Maybe if you can catch him on a low number, then go smash that over. But generally speaking, I stay away. I'm going back to that San Francisco game, and I couldn't believe this number when I saw it because maybe I'm the fish that looks at it and like, okay, George Kittle under 4.5 receptions. 4.5 receptions for George Kittle in a game that's supposed to be a blowout. What are we doing here?
Saints are awesome against tight ends too.
Yeah,
by far the best defensive DVOA team against the position. So the efficiency definitely doesn't come through Kittle here in this spot, I don't think. So yeah, what's the
juice on that?
I think it's minus 130 right now. It was when I looked at it earlier, but
that's still a great look.
They keep
130 is fine.
Let's see, Kittle 46. I like the under. I mean, you can just go under 46.5 yards too at minus 110.
Yeah, I'm seeing it juiced up now.
Oh yeah, it's minus 165 now. Damn it. That's why I should look at these on the show before I rate them. This was an hour ago. It was minus 130.
Yeah, it's tough. That's just how the market is. I feel like
I'm going to switch to the under 45.5 receiving yards then.
Yeah, I think the handicap for it is spot on too. Feels like too many. I feel like last week was a combination of both wanting to get him active because he had been really quiet. It was like a perfect, pristine matchup against the Cardinals, and O'Connor smashed that for our subscribers. And then this week feels like it's another spot where it could come on the outside. Then they're going to go run heavy, hopefully. But yeah, I like that. I like that look quite a bit. We're under in that game. Someone's going to do something in that game. It's going to have to be, Elijah Mitchell and Christian McCaffrey on the ground, hopefully. So
I think that just everyone in people's minds, San Francisco, and listen, like the books are probably going to tell you very close to the same thing, that the Niners are the best team in the NFC. But look at their record. They don't play well every week.
It's true. I mean, they lost at Atlanta, who I know is better than we thought they were going to be coming in, but I don't think anyone considers them a serious contender, right? Maybe they backdoor a playoff spot, which would be shocking, but even that, it's a bad loss for sure.
Also lost, at Chicago in week 1 in that monsoon. I mean, which I don't know.
Almost doesn't count.
Yeah, I agree, but still, find a way to get it done. That was pathetic.
Agreed.
But I also think in that game too, something that we hit 10 minutes before kickoff, Elijah Mitchell's over-under came in at 36 or something, 37.5 rushing yards. And he had 4 in the first half, and most people were sweating, ends up being kind of their back that when they want to run the ball, they go for it. It was interesting because they didn't have Kyle Juszczyk in a bunch in the first quarter at all. I don't think Elijah Mitchell played a snap actually in the first quarter. And then as soon as they wanted to switch to that, power formation and use him a little bit more, they instantly started crushing. So that's something to look out for as they mix in McCaffrey and that kind of mix between him and Mitchell, because it's two very different approaches with how they run these guys. So, my last one here, I don't have anything official, but I have 2 that I really like. Jeff Wilson, potentially overs. I haven't seen anything pop there. Should see all the work. 13-point favorites against Houston.
Is Mostert out officially?
They said he's going to be. It's a long uphill battle, was the quote from McDaniel.
Yeah, because I saw Fournette is officially out. There's a couple of these games that are just not offering props for. I wanted to do Tyreek Hill over receiving yards, and I know where it's going to come in, but it's just not available.
So shockingly, today, for the first time ever that we've seen, a site that won't be named is first to market on a play. PointsBet's also there. So we're seeing 97.5. PointsBet's the lowest in the market at 95.5.
97.5. Wow.
Over.
What's your projection?
I don't know. My personal
doesn't matter. Over.
Totally fair. That's a fair handicap.
200 yards. My projection is actually 98.5, but come on now.
Okay. Yeah. No, I get it. I mean, he's a beast. They have Stingley's going to be out as well. Again, if you even think that matters, which I don't even think that matters. But 95.5 is the lowest number out there for him. Lower juice, 97.5 at the blue book. We'll call it for our friend Pat's sake here. But yeah, it looks like, DK, MGM, Caesars yet to get into the action on Miami and Houston. So yeah, I think we were waiting for some of those injuries to drop for some of that stuff. So maybe we see some stuff now if I haven't seen officially for Mostert, but yeah.
And what about a Rachaad White number? I mean,
Rachaad White's on the list too, because it looked like they were shifting that way anyway. And a great matchup against Cleveland's league worst run defense. So what do you think we're going to see? Mid 60s?
I mean, that's a smash. I think we might even see 70 something.
71.
They know everyone loves Rachaad White. I feel like,
Yeah, I mean, let's not get crazy here. Most of the general public couldn't point to you who that is.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, if we see 60s, I'll be playing the over for sure. Anything in the 60s, automatic. I mean, even low 70s, you saw, I think they want to go a little bit run heavy too. They talked about it before the Rams game, and then they said they're like, oh, we're going to try and go run heavy. They tried, they just couldn't run. So that Brady was like, screw this, we're just going to pass every play. But then we saw the next week against Seattle, they're like, it was actually working, and so they kept running the ball. And now against the Browns, I mean, if it doesn't work, something's seriously gone wrong. But the defense is healthy. Great matchup. Rachaad White should have essentially no competition. I wouldn't say pencil him in for 20 carries, but pretty close.
There's a chance, because Gio is going to be activated for this game. It looks like, at least, that he might weirdly lose some of his receiving game work, which I don't think is bad by any means, but why, if you're going to bring Gio back and activate him, like what else is he doing in this game?
Yeah, he's probably not siphoning off carries though, or especially early down work.
No, not at all. No, it'd be like Keyshawn Vaughn, I think.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. I accidentally threw it to Connor before I gave mine, so I'll do one, give it to Pat, and I'll take another one. I have a couple that have moved, but I think still playable. I'll talk about another one where I think I am off the market as far as what your median projections are going to be. Treylon Burks. I threw Treylon Burks to our subscribers at 36.5. It is out to 40.5 in some spots. It's even higher, 43 in some others. I think if you look at like snaps, looks as like a part-time player. He's not even at 70% snaps, but I really don't give two licks if he's out there blocking for Derrick Henry. I care about his activity in the passing game, and he's been a target hog. He had 38% targets per route run in week 11. That is the third time he's top 30%. Like 22% is elite. So getting him north of 30 in 3 of 6 starts this season is pretty terrific. Again, a low volume passing offense, but the 38% last week was 7 catches on 8 targets. It's 111 yards. And we saw some of what I think people thought we were going to see maybe coming out. And I think just long-term having a buying mentality on rookie receivers coming off of their bye or later in the season when they've shown you anything, right? I mean, I think just blindly chasing these guys is dumb, but when they've shown you that they have at least an inkling of skill, I think it makes sense to chase them a little bit. And again, DJ Reader's back for Cincinnati. We know that Tennessee is still going to run the ball with Derrick Henry. I think they don't find a ton of success. Doesn't mean that Derrick Henry doesn't have 100 yards here, but he probably does it on maybe less efficiency. And I think when they throw to Burks often. So 40.5 is still a pretty light number, even though it's off of the mid 30s where he posted it. I think our projections are right around there. I've seen some others that are well short of that, but again, I just think that the usage is kind of going this way, and really there's no one else there that scares me from a target standpoint. So over on Treylon Burks. Pat, what are your thoughts there?
I think he stinks, so I would take the under.
Fair. I like your simple handicaps today.
There's certain guys that I just don't think are good, and maybe I'm wrong, but I want to be betting overs on guys that I think suck.
Yeah, it's fair. Hey, it's why you blind chase Tyreek, north of 100 because he's good. He's good at football.
That's working out well, by the way.
Sure is. How about you? Last one or last group? What are you considering?
Well, I was considering Ken Walker over 76.5 rushing yards against this awful Vegas team. There's a spread I don't understand. So, Vegas is probably going to win now. But Vegas beats the crappy Broncos in overtime. And, Seattle had a bye week, and then they had lost in Munich to Tampa and almost came back and won that game. Now, all of a sudden, they're in the same sphere. Give me a break. Seattle's way better, and they're just going to jam it down their throats the entire time. So 76.5 I really like, but I think my fourth play is actually going to be Terrace Marshall under 37.5 receiving yards, and this is twofold. He continues, he's beat this number, I think, in 4 straight weeks, which is great and everything. But you also have, there's no guarantee that DJ Moore is going to be on Patrick Surtain here. It could be on Terrace Marshall, probably not, but it's not like the other side of the Broncos pass defense is bad by any means. It's actually quite good. I think because people have PTSD about Baker Mayfield, we think that Sam Darnold is good. He's not. So I do think he's going to throw, mind you. So maybe Smith over 11.5 yards is maybe where you want to look in this game, something like that. But Terrace Marshall is he's going to play, but he was very close to not playing in this game with a shoulder injury, one hit, and he just might be out. So give me the under.
I get it. Yeah. Sam Darnold is still not good at football. I don't think anything changed here in the last year or so. Connor, any thoughts on fading a game, which I think has probably low play volume, a bad matchup for Carolina passing game. I kind of like that.
Yeah, he could see some Surtain. From what I've noticed, it's he shadows good receivers and then just stays put generally or just plays wherever when it's no one special. And I think DJ Moore is good, but I'm not sure he's special enough for anyone to shadow him, especially against Sam Darnold, who I just don't understand what the hype is all about. Every time they change quarterbacks, they're this Baker's the worst. Bring in PJ Walker, XFL stud. It's PJ stinks. Bring in Sam Darnold, he'll save us. It's no, these guys all just suck. The system sucks. They're in a bad spot. It's just I just don't get it. So yeah, blind under anything honestly there. I think you could be okay with, except for I'm not going to bet an under on She Smith there at 11 yards. I think the over there's a decent look, but I think you would even take DJ Moore under, to be honest too. I just worry about them like scheming in touches sometimes. Like that's what I worry about is like sometimes I'm just being like, oh, we're going to target this guy like 10 times.
Yeah, but they don't really scheme him touches. It's just he usually has the better matchup and he runs vertically. They scheme like Chenault touches.
Yeah.
Because, I assume that like whoever the new offer is, it McAdoo still, that like he has a fantasy team and he really bought into the hype on Chenault. It's like, well, better use this guy. The internet tells me he's really good. He also sucks. The one I wanted to really look for, I can't find a number on it, is Michael Carter, either over receptions or receiving yards.
Yeah, with the Mike White.
Yeah, with Mike White back.
I don't think we have anything at all from that game.
What do you think we're going to see? 3.5?
Yeah, I'd probably go over that. I was hoping it'd be 2.5, even with a little bit of juice. I'd still like that.
Oh yeah.
I also haven't seen Bryce Perkins rushing yards, but our projections have him at 13. I watched him play last week. He's gonna have like 80 rushing yards against the Chiefs and do nothing. But
he can't do anything else. Like it was like they're just like he was rolling out, like airmail and passes, like every other play was just like a read option or like a zone read. So yeah, he has to run, otherwise they're screwed.
Like, I'd play him up to like 35.5, I think. But I think his number will be like 16.5.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One of the other ones you mentioned, Kenneth Walker. I was kind of waiting for a rushing and receiving one because his receiving work has been a massive upgrade there too.
Yeah, but that was the first game that they were trailing in ages. It's been 2 games in a row, yes, but that Tampa game I don't think is indicative whatsoever. You have them falling behind big in a game against one of the best run defenses in the league. That is not what they're getting this week.
Right.
That's out there. 92.5 on Rivers. It's 96.5 everywhere else.
Interesting. Yeah, I feel like they made a point of it though, like 2 weeks ago, and they're like, yeah, we want to get this guy more involved in the receiving game. And then they did. So I feel like it kind of helps his floor a little bit. But to your point, like he probably won't have 40 receiving yards in this game.
No, and if you do think, like I do, that Seattle's likely going to be playing from ahead in this spot,
yeah,
every time that they've won a game or been leading in the game, like he has no issues getting to his like 17 carries or whatever he needs. He doesn't even need that to get to this number. But
no,
that's where he's going to end up being.
Yeah, that's a good point.
I think that's the longest too that I always consider, because I think he just has that ability to break tackles and hang a 20-yarder up there. That's out there. I think it's just 15.5, where he's typically like 17.5. So that's not a bad look too if you're looking to get on some Kenneth Walker stuff.
Yeah, during their 4-game winning streak, he never had fewer than 18 carries in a game. And it's funny because in those 18 carries, he had 51 yards.
I have a couple others that I have posted that have moved, and I think it's probably off him at the new number. I played Isaiah Pacheco over 57.5 rushing yards, up to 62.5, which is a little steep. But 15 plus carries the last 2 weeks, 63%, 73% of the running back touches. Now we know CEH is out. Again, that heavy workload was 82 yards and 107 yards. Now you're looking at a Chiefs team, 30 plus point team total here. Should absolutely decimate the Rams, who have absolutely no shot to I think their team total is like 12.5, which is just don't see south of 14 very often in the NFL. And here we are. So I just feel like the floor for Pacheco, even if he's not efficient, is really high. So it's up to 62.5. It looks like on DraftKings. Projections aren't there, but I don't mind that. Prefer the 57.5. Same thing with DeAndre Hopkins played over 6.5 receptions. It's 7.5 at plus money. I still kind of like it. Like I probably wouldn't play it if I thought that he was just going to perfectly land in the middle on 7. I do think that if Greg Dortch is ruled out, he didn't practice the last 2 days. Looks like definitely Ramondre or Rondell Moore is out. I think we're going to have a limited Hollywood Brown here. Like, I don't think that they massively impact Hopkins. I do think you probably see more Hopkins slot routes if those guys are out. And I think that just raises his floor here. Again, a lot of volume I expect in this game with Kyler back. The air raid, horizontal raid is back here in the spot. So I think just peppered with targets for DeAndre Hopkins. So love that. 7.5 at plus money, I think, is still probably a good look. I wouldn't have posted it as a play, but like that quite a bit. I'm telling Connor, I'm blind betting Patrick Mahomes over 2.5 touchdown passes from here on out. He gets it like 75% of the time. I think even in this spot where they can absolutely destroy the Rams, it probably happens with Mahomes. I don't care who's at receiver. That's still plus money. It's like plus 130. Love that. I'll give you a couple of tackle looks. Absolutely love Rashad Evans He's probably going to be 8.5. Linebacker for the Falcons. Really, really good spot for Evans here. I know that they have a bad defense. Pat, poke some holes there as far as their run defense. So look at some of the stuff with Evans this season, though. He has been an absolute beast. Let me bring up his numbers here.
Yeah, look, he's actually in the perfect position for Atlanta's defense because they're not good. Everyone just makes it to the second level.
It's true. So he was sharing some work, and now he is a 100% guy. At least 9 in 8 of the past 9. He's got 10 plus in 5 of 6. Opposing linebackers are averaging 23.4 tackles per game against Washington, is the highest rate in the league. Absolutely love the spot for Evans. I'd be shocked if he wasn't posted at 8.5. Love that one. TJ Edwards, linebacker for the Eagles. He'll also be posted at 8.5. I'm comfortable going over there as well. He got there for us last week, basically an every down role. He's got 10 or more in 6 of 10 games this season for the past 5. And another spot too against Green Bay, who is second in the league in tackles given up to opposing linebackers on the season.
Who was it, by the way?
TJ Edwards for the Eagles. Yeah, love the spot for him. He came in for us last week. I think got 10 against the Colts. And then in that same game, or the Colts, Zaire Franklin on Monday night against the Steelers. Franklin will be at 8.5 as well. Comfortable here. Again, Colts linebacker against the Steelers. He is every down role. Actually, he's second in the league in total tackles with Shaq Leonard out for the season. He does not come off the field and has an elite tackle rate. And linebackers against the Steelers has been really opportunistic. We hit that last week with Logan Wilson. Jermaine Pratt as well went way over his total. So those are 3 guys that are all probably going to be posted at 8.5, and I'm comfortable going over. This is basically the same as chasing elite wide receiver overs in the tackle market. So those are some of the best spots this week.
I love
it.
We missed it by the hook last week, Noonan. My big parlay.
Oh, Richie Grant was our only tackle miss. Yeah, he missed on the hook.
Oh.
The subscribers I got, we're sweating this stuff now. I got guys messaging me like, "Did you see that tackle? He should have been." Yes, thank you. Plus favorable scoring matchup for Indy on Franklin. See, we got them going. People understand there's some scorer advantage here, tackles per opportunity. The Colts give out assists at a really high rate. I think like 56.5 assists given out per game on the season, where the league average is 42.8. So sizable advantage on assists given out. So we don't care if they're solo or assists in this game. We just care about total combined tackles. So yeah, we lost. The Richie Grant was our only L last week. So sorry, Pat. We get it back this week.
Happens. I bet them all individually too, so I won money.
Good. All right, so you're hanging out with us in the chat. Slow. Maybe people are, out maybe Black Friday shopping, and people still go out to malls and do that.
Is that a thing still?
I don't know.
Listen to my show this week, and you'll find out.
Oh no,
Someone was talking about Black Friday.
It's worth a listen. Subscribe to the Mayo Media Network and listen to this great stuff from Cust. I'm sure it's riveting content. Yeah, in a previous life, man. 15 years ago, a dozen years ago, I used to manage Starbucks, and we have a very large mall here in the Chicagoland area, Woodfield Mall. I think it used to be like the largest, or one of the largest in the country. All of the managers had to not only take people from the store, but they themselves had to work Black Friday shifts at Woodfield. It was horrible. I'd get there like at like 11 p.m. and work from like 11 p.m. to 6 a.m. where like you'd walk in and you thought you walked in to like a Justin Bieber concert, because there's nothing but like 16-year-old girls hanging out at the mall, and they'd be open 24 hours. It was a disaster. So I'm very thankful to the folks at 4for4 for allowing me to sit here in my basement and talk about tackle props instead of serving caramel macchiatos and frappuccinos to the youth of America. So good times. All right, so hang out. Let us know what thoughts you have here. We'll jump in. So Clint wants to know about not a lot. So let's go, guys. Traylon Burks over 3.5 receptions. Pat thinks he sucks. So Pat's under on 3.5 receptions, I'm guessing.
Yes.
Yeah. What I think is interesting is that the Titans passing game has actually looked pretty good the last 2 weeks since Tannehill's come back. I also agree that I think Traylon Burks kind of sucks, but But I've been anti Traylon Burks the entire offseason and early season. And I think he has flashed enough where he might not like be complete garbage. So like, I'm not betting the under, but I get the over because I think it's a numbers play. But I do think that the Titans passing game has been really surprisingly good. Whatever, fifth in EPA, or seventh in explosive pass rate or something like that the last 2 weeks. So,
Yep.
I just got an email from my golf club that they're offering like different packages this year, and if you buy a couple membership for you and your partner, it is $700 less than buying two individual ones. Do you think it would be unethical of me to say that Cust and I are in a relationship?
You are in a relationship.
There we go.
I mean, relationship is very vague, especially nowadays. Like you cannot do anything.
Yeah, what are they going to say to me?
No,
right,
you cannot question.
Imagine them calling you out.
No, yeah, no, yeah.
So yeah,
absolutely.
I'm going to save myself $700. Oh, I got more money to bet this weekend.
Yeah, he's a partner in a lot of senses, right? I mean, it's a relationship for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Are you beating him on the regular now?
Oh yeah, I killed him all year. I think our record this year was 23-1 for me.
Oh gosh.
And the one was I broke 2 clubs. I was very mad. Snapping clubs over my knee. It was by far the worst I played all year.
Yeah. Like an important club mid-round or what is it?
No, I actually I have a crappy wedge in my bag because I know that I can get very furious and want to smash clubs. And I know that one's like $10. Like I go to the shitty driving range by my house and like buy a few wedges. I just have it. I spent like $50 at the beginning of the year, buy 10 wedges or buy 5 wedges. I put one in my bag until I get so mad that I pull that one out and snap it and throw it in the woods. And I replace it at the end of the round.
Oh, it's good. Just to have one there to break.
I never hit the club.
Okay. Yeah, so you don't miss it. I desperately need Connor to update his driver. He is using,
oh man,
Pat, I mean, we're talking about like late 90s stuff. Like we're talking like actual woods. He has like a hybrid that like he seems to hit decent. It has the smallest head and face. I have no idea how he makes contact with the club. Even he seems to actually hit it pretty decent, but like we're talking like antique. These things need to be sent to Florida and put into the Golf Hall of Fame. For some reason, he's still rolling them out and dusting them off occasionally. So I didn't want to do it because I really like his wife and I didn't want to get him a driver for his wedding gift. But I really considered it just being taking the L, apologizing profusely to his wife and saying, I couldn't think of a good wedding gift other than Connor needs this. You guys will get all the other stuff from other people. Connor needs to continue to golf more, but we haven't got there. So hopefully a profitable football season for Connor can turn into, maybe even a pre-owned, Callaway Epic or, a nice ping or something, just something that's not just absolute dust.
Yeah, I'll buy something.
Connor's confidence when he talks about these props, I think he can afford the driver.
Yeah,
We're just gonna get there.
Yeah. I think we'll be good. I just I got like too cheap towards the end of it because I was playing so bad by the end of my little like golf tenure of the season, and then now we're in football season. So whenever it starts getting a little warm here again in Chicago, I'll buy something new and make the investment. Because you're right, it's like, I mean, I have one of those like little sleeves. It's like a fur one that's like from the PJ Tour in like 1990 or something like that. I don't even know. It's like my dad's old clubs,
Yeah, I bought a 3-wood and a hybrid this year. And I bought my driver, my new set of clubs, like a year and a half or 2 years ago now. And the drivers, they go pretty quickly. I still like mine, but like Cuss has been using the same one for 10 years now, and you can hear that it's dead. But he went out and he bought a new driver. He hit it once and he instantly returned it after playing around with it to get an even more expensive driver, which he bought the Sim 2, and now he doesn't even use it because he hits his other one better, according to him. Then he bought a 2-wood, which is like a mini driver. It's so ridiculous.
Oh man.
Yeah, the new driver technology, if you don't have something somewhat fresh in your bag from the last 5 years or so, I think you are definitely leaving a little bit of distance out there for sure. So yeah, we'll help Connor upgrade. Getting better. So it's all right. Let's see. Yeah, Freiermuth overs on Monday Night Football. I actually have Freiermuth on my list. I didn't mention Freiermuth. The other one that Connor mentioned, a couple with Rashad White, Jeff Wilson, David Montgomery carries over possibly in the spots could be a good look. We don't have to worry about Justin Fields, but I like Freiermuth. I did not see the number. but it's probably out since we started here. Connor, have you
Yeah,
seen
it's
anything
40,
on Framebooth?
43.5. It was pretty low again. I mean, he's just been in non-tough matchups. He's been like the absolute target hog for Pittsburgh. And then last 2 weeks, I believe, he's been playing way more in the slot without Chase Claypool, like elite slot rates for a tight end. So yeah, I think you'd probably hit the over there pretty comfortably. How is the matchup? That's the one thing I like didn't have time to look into. Like, does it matter? Like, is that plus like really bad? I don't know off the top of my head.
Colts
Against
and
the
tight
Colts?
ends.
Yeah.
It's against the Colts, isn't it?
Yeah.
Well, cares.
Yeah, they're bad actually. 27th in DVOA, 47.5 yards per game. Yeah, I like your point too. Like that's part of why the handicap last week on Freiermuth too was the spike in slot rate with Claypool out. You know, the target rate is pretty safe. He almost got there in the first half for us last week, so I have no problem going back to the well there, even though the Kenny Pickett stuff is not great. We see what his target share, routes run, or anything last week. I like the Michael Carter stuff too. Definitely have that written down. Yeah, I mean, this is elite stuff. 83% route participation, 31% target per route run. I mean, that's Tyreek Hill type of target per route run stuff. So yeah, Freiermuth 43.5 is a good look. Same game. Josh wants to know about Michael Pittman under 20.5 for longest reception. I mean, the Steelers are being given up big plays though. 20.5 is decent, but I don't know what you guys' thoughts initial off the top with Pittman.
Yeah.
I don't want to bet an under.
It doesn't move the needle for me either way. Like those are not the sort of, unless like it really jumps out to me as, oh, I know this guy's ADOT is so low or this one is so high. Like it would just flip a coin at that point. Like I don't feel like we have an edge on that either way.
I agree with that. All right, good stuff. Wrap us up. Quiet chat today, which is again makes sense. People are probably out. Touching grass, smelling the roses, living life a little bit. Anything else? Any other looks you guys want to highlight that haven't popped, or anything that's popped since we've been live?
So something just popped up on my screen right now. At Graham Dillette on Twitter, he is making bacon wrapped Oreos, which look. I mean, they don't visually look appealing, but I can really get behind that.
Bacon wrapped. I love Oreos. They're actually, I think, horribly underrated. I love
Did
cookies
you know
and cream
that there's
ice cream.
a panda bear on every Oreo?
I did not know that.
That's what's on the top of it.
Really?
Yeah.
Why? Is it hidden or that's actually the design?
That's actually the design. You just can't see it because it's so black. But if you pour milk onto the top of it, you'll see the outline of the koala or the panda. It's koala or panda, one of the two.
Well, now I'm about to go try this out because I had no idea.
What animal is on an Oreo?
I had a delicious Oreo milkshake from this place that my wife and I found that is just local homemade ice cream. It's fantastic. They are closing for the season.
I went to Ryan.
I went there the last night that they were open.
Fucking ice cream.
Well, it's good stuff. I don't want to go.
I'm sure it's great.
Yeah. So I got my shake. It's riding shotgun. And as I pull in like around to get into my driveway, and it goes down the side inside by like where you plug in the seatbelt, like in the center console. Like, so not just spilled, but spilled in like the absolute worst possible spot that you could spill because it's impossible to clean up. So it was like I had this much milkshake left. Again, last one of the season because the place literally closed the doors behind me for the year and had to clean it out of my car, and it was a brutal experience. So I have a little Oreo milkshake PTSD. So
at that point, I'm probably just chucking the rest out the window, slamming my fists, and through something, and then pissed because I'm jamming my hand in between the seat trying to clean that shit out for 30 minutes.
And then it was like cold.
You guys need to renegotiate your contracts. I'd just buy a new car.
Yeah, I thought about it too. That's the thing that I actually really legit worried about is that when the weather turns and gets really nice, I thought I did a good job cleaning it, but like on a nice warm day, you're going to find out if you really clean that milkshake out of your car or not. Right now we're good. It just is, if it's still there, it's melted and it's probably edible, but yeah, for now, I don't know, but we'll find out maybe come, March or April. So that's my cookies and cream Oreos story for you guys to wrap it up. So Pat, where can everyone find your stuff?
Mayo Media Network, the Pat Mayo Experience, audio podcast. If you enjoy yourself, not watching me on video at least. I mean, I suppose you can just not watch YouTube while you watch it, but it's much easier doing it through Apple Podcasts or Spotify. Leave a rating and review up there as well. And you should probably root for our guy, Tower Tambolini at Toe Tag and Tambo. He's at King of the Beach next week. And he said that he's going to donate 10% of his winnings of his best lineup to the viewers of the show. So if you're not a viewer of the show, well, fuck you. But you can become a viewer right now and potentially get in on, top prize is $200K. So he might be giving away, but it's 5% of the money. So he might be giving away 10 grand.
Pretty generous just for watching the show. Yeah. No offense to our viewers, and we're not getting 10 grand for watching this thing. So, but now you get the opportunity to make 10 grand for hanging out with Pat. So great DFS show over there. Highly recommend that. Connor, what do you got coming out? More props coming, and
going to dive deep here. Try and avoid going out tonight, but we'll see. I'm sure I'm going to fight that battle for a good 2 hours until someone asks me to go get a beer and I cave. So put out as many props as possible. Still grinding the TikTok game. Sal launched a new betting channel where we have our YouTube shorts for 4for4 bets, and we'll probably make the switch over with this show over that channel pretty soon with betting only content over there. Hopefully you did not tail my soccer picks because I told you to bet on England minus 0.75. So hopefully you didn't see that video, but the next ones will be better.
Good stuff as always. And again, 4for4.com/plans, Black Friday sale, $34 for the betting sub, access to everything on the site. Highly, highly, highly recommend that. So for Pat and Connor, I'm Ryan. We'll see you all next week. Thanks, everyone.